Leave it to USC to teach Michigan a lesson on a big, tough, physical Big Ten football. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. USC trounces Michigan 31-13 at the Coliseum. Please like and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. Join us each and every night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Saturday, or post-game. Join the best chat in college football. Give me a call as well. Let's size this one up. Lincoln Riley's USC program coming into this game 4-11 against ranked opponents since joining the Big Ten. And he won those games in the Big 12 as Oklahoma head coach, 15-6. So he's teaching his team. And they received a big lesson tonight and cleared a hurdle against a good team, not a great team, not a vintage Michigan team for sure. We learned a lot about these two teams, I think, on this night because the narrative is obviously that USC was going to try to win the game with Jade Mayaba throwing the ball downfield to Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, and those elite USC playmakers on the outside. And, of course, Michigan would run it down their throats like they did in 2024. So Michigan's got, despite their offensive limitations in the passing game in particular, their ability to throw the ball downfield with Bryce Underwood versus what they had last year with Alex Orji and company, and Orji against USC is obviously light years beyond what they had in 2024. And Michigan still won the game because Khalil Mullings and company ran for 290 yards and stomped on Kamari Ramsey on his way down the field on that final drive to win it on the fourth down play with a second left. So we expected much of the same narrative this time around, and a down-to-the-wire game between Michigan and USC with both teams playing to its strengths. We did not expect USC's strengths to include out-muscling Michigan, 224 yards on the ground to 109 for the Wolverines. Now, Michigan was missing its number one back as Justice Haynes, one of the best backs in the nation, was hurt in the first half, but also consider that he's got a capable known commodity at the backup position in Jordan Marshall, where USC lost its number one running back, Wayman Jordan. And they had to rely on a walk-on freshman, King Miller. Welcome to the national stage. You have become a star, King. 158 yards rushing. And really, the microcosm of King Miller's big night against Michigan was that third and forever play in the second half, in which he ripped up the Michigan defense, and Lincoln Riley basically took a page right out of the Vince Lombardi playbook, took the guard and the tackle on the right side, pulled them to the left, paved the way for King Miller, and played physical, student body right type USC football against Michigan, and King Miller did the rest. He juked a couple Michigan defenders out of their jock straps. They're still laying on the ground eating green grass at the Coliseum, and King Miller was remarkable on this day against, again, 158 yards rushing. And maybe the side note of the night that was interesting is that his brother is also a true freshman on the team, but he's a 290-pound guard. So how one family produced those two guys, I won't know. But we know that USC stood up to the challenge tonight, and the narrative has been, and the reality is that Michigan or USC is faded in the fourth quarter in the Big Ten. They lost every game down the stretch in the fourth quarter last year. They were the biggest floor-ceiling discrepancy team in the nation. I predicted that going into 2024, and it turned out to be the case. They could go out there and beat Texas A&M and beat LSU and take Penn State, one of the top four teams in the country, to the wire in overtime. But they could also lose to the likes of Maryland, who was otherwise 0-8 in the Big Ten, and lose to Minnesota on the road and give up leads in the fourth quarter. But maybe USC has turned a corner. We shall see. Or was this an aberration? Because just one game earlier, of course, USC traveled to Illinois and played the type game that I expected this one to turn out to be down to the wire, and Michigan might versus USC athleticism to be what was on display. But in that game, Illinois ran the ball down USC's throats in the fourth quarter, rushed for almost 200 yards, and won the game on the final play of the game. But Michigan couldn't play in Illinois. And we have been looking for, in addition to Ohio State and Oregon, and I guess Indiana at this point, is there going to be another elite team in the Big Ten out of this group of Iowa, Michigan, Washington, USC, and others? Who's going to step up into the elite class, if anyone? And maybe USC made a claim for that tonight. I know it's only one game, but it was a statement game in the way that they won the football game. They were the stronger, more physical team. It was almost like those 2000 Rose Bowl games in which those were advertised as USC speed and athleticism against Michigan might and strength and muscle. And it did turn out to be that, but USC also proved to not only be faster and more athletic, but they also proved in those Rose Bowl games to be just as strong and just as big and just as tough. And therefore, they won the games by 2 and 3 touchdowns. All right, so final score there, 31-13. And if we look at the quarterback play, Jaden Maiava has grown up. Lincoln Riley mentioned it during the game that basically what we see out of Bryce Underwood is what Jaden Maiava was last year, a really talented quarterback who can make all the throws, can run around and elude the rush, doesn't want to run it, doesn't want to be a running quarterback, wants to stay in the pocket and deliver from there, but he can make the plays. Now, Bryce Underwood is still developing, of course. We can't expect much more out of him, but he shows from time to time that he is a true freshman. He threw a touchdown pass to Andrew Marsh, and he's the guy that I've been citing for the last couple of weeks that Michigan needs to get into the game plan. And, of course, Michigan's already doing that. They're not listening to me. But Andrew Marsh pulled off a 70-yard touchdown play in this one in which the safety overran the play. But Michigan, up until that point, had no pass plays over 20 yards and just did not threaten the USC defense. But they did for that one play to make it 24-13. Then Sherrone Moore inexplicably went for 2. Just cut the lead to 24-14. Joes don't chase points at that point. There's no reason to do that, but he did inexplicably. And then Bryce Underwood threw a line drive at Donovan McCulley and didn't throw it in the proper place. And again, showed his lack of having anything besides a fastball at this point in his career, and it's understandable. Jaden Maiava, on the other hand, as Lincoln Riley expressed, has grown and grown and grown, and threw his first interception of the season on this night. That was a bad throw and a bad decision by Maiava, much like Bryce Underwood's interception in the red zone after each team had come close to completing an excellent drive. The Michigan defense that I know from 2021, 22, 23, and even 2024, after they scored the Andrew Marsh touchdown to cut it to what should have been 24-14, 24-13, would have stood up and stopped the run. But USC, 8 plays, 75 yards, and capped off by a Brian Jackson touchdown run in which, again, the USC offensive line did the job and completely outplayed the Michigan defensive front. And then Brian Jackson was too fast and too quick and led his way into the end zone to ice this one once again. A 31-13 final. USC's 5-1, and we see their upcoming schedule right there. Michigan at 4-2, and of course they've got to win out, most likely to have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff. So USC still in decent shape with difficult games upcoming against Oregon, Notre Dame, and others. Your thoughts below about USC taking a big step, maybe Michigan taking a step back. Join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for post-game 10 p.m. Eastern Time right here at the Voice of College Football.